special edition of the Pedestrian Zero podcast. I have got with me special guests, 3dBs down, and we're gonna, rather than doing the usual format of playing songs and so on, we're gonna get into a kind of longer form interview with the guys, because they've got a new album coming out in July.
The 31st, to be exact.
So, welcome to the show, Matt, Taj, Joe, and Sai. How's it going, guys?
Good. Hey, Toby. All good.
Hey, man.
Hey, Toby. All right.
Before we get on to the new album, which is called Get Your Retaliation in first, which I've listened to a lot, I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on your history, for those who may or may not know, but also basically because I'm a sucker of a super fan for 3dBs Down, and I just wanted to kind of get into it with you guys, if that's okay with you. So, I mean, first of all, let's talk about the beginning of the band. How did you get together? Because I know there was a couple of different bands and stuff like that, and it was all while you were still at school. But yeah, so how did that happen? See who's going to take the lead.
It was sort of like a two-step thing, I suppose, because me, Mr. J, Taj, and our friend Mark Halo in a band called Toy Rage.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mark Halo.
Mark Halo.
Yeah. And we probably started about 1997, which is like, I know.
Oh,
23 years ago.
I mean, it was long enough for me not to be able to do the maths, but thanks for confirming that. And so we did like, Taj wrote songs in halves, didn't you, Taj? It was always like Taj's song number one, Taj's song number 1.5, where it kind of half got finished.
Yeah, it's the story of my life, really. Half finished.
Yeah,
and
but very good. But they were awesome tunes. But yes, we had a couple of those, and we do like covers. So we do, some Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Wild Hearts, Bad Religion kind of stuff. And
Goldfinger.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that the ska influence there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and the big guitars, and we'd play with Sai's other band, Sai's band at the time. Was it Loser or Resolve, Sai?
It went from one to the other. Started as Loser and then turned into Resolve, and we realised it was a really bad name. So
Well, they're actually a very good band, though.
Yeah.
We were like, check those guys out. They can write their own songs. And it was Sai writing all these amazing songs. And then at some point, Mark just had enough. It was volume, wasn't it, for Mark? Mark was like, like Back to the Future. You guys are just too darn loud. And he just left the band.
Classic.
Yeah. And then, Taj, it was you, wasn't it, chatting to Sai?
Yeah, so me and Sai, our then girlfriends, were both living in the same house at uni, and Sai was living pretty close around the corner. So we were hanging out quite a bit anyway, because our girlfriends at the time were good friends as well.
Yeah.
And I think we just started talking about it, and I think I just put forward an offer, and so I think that was that then, really.
History.
Yeah.
Sai, what did Taj offer you?
My soul.
I think it's the old band that's like Resolve would kind of run its course when people split to go to uni, and we were done, and hadn't done anything about like university, and then finishing off, and it's like, well, everyone's going to go home, so I've got to go home and looking for something, and then having played with Toy Rage a couple of times, down the Red Lion, and seen them nearly blow up the PA for fun by running Taj's vocal through this ridiculous guitar pedal thing. I was like, that sounds fun. And then Taj sent me some, having had discussed, that sounds like something we could do, but that sounds great. And then Taj sent me, I think, some bits of songs, sent me some a tape of songs or something through. Yeah. And then it kind of just went from there.
Amazing.
But
and like, was it always from the beginning? Was it the three vocals? Because it's quite a distinctive thing actually. Like, so was that straight away from the beginning, or did that kind of develop?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much, because I mean, me and Matt were already sharing vocals anyway as Toy Rage, weren't we, Matt? So I think it was just just sort of a case of
kind of natural.
So I bring it. It was like a natural thing that we knew that we wanted more. Me and Matt at the time were huge. I mean, we still are obviously huge Bad Religion fans. So it was all about the harmonies for us. So just adding an extra one in as well was just like yes. Right.
I'm in massive danger now of completely alienating myself from all of you. But
don't say it, Toby. Don't say it.
Bad Religion don't have multiple lead singers, or do they?
No, they don't. No.
Okay.
But it's just the harmonies kind of thing.
Yeah, but this thing of multiple lead vocalists, it's actually very rare. I mean, I was trying to sort of think of other examples, and the only one I can really come up with is Fleetwood Mac. but even there, they don't.
That's who we modeled ourselves on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In which case, my next question is which of you is Stevie Nicks? Is it Taj?
that would probably be me. Yeah.
But because I mean, even they don't actually. I mean, I'm not hugely knowledgeable about their back catalogue, but I don't think they tend to have one main singer and then the other two do backing vocals, whereas you guys have 3 lead singers. Like you trade it off throughout the song, which is, like, I feel like that's quite unique, which is good.
Kind of come from I think it just came from laziness, really, wasn't it? It was just because or it was just as soon as someone got to playing a hard bit, then you just stop singing and someone else would take over.
Yeah. I was going to say it's sort of a mix of that, or just huge lack of fitness levels as well. So I don't think one of us could hold an entire song for like 3-4 minutes without passing out anyway.
I think you're all being way too.
No. Seriously, it's like I can't play ska and sing at the same time. I can barely play ska without singing, so I definitely can't do it with singing at the same time. So it's like, yeah, Matt, you take the verse for that one.
It's ska. I'll play the ska. Matt sing that bit. Yeah.
Sorry, you were going to say something.
And the rest of it is just laziness because people won't learn full sets of words. So it's just easy so one learns the chorus, one learns the verse, and then
I love it.
Someone takes the middle 8 or something.
Yeah.
It does work out better for us. I mean, I have a memory like a sieve at the best of times. So to try and remember like 2 full verses and then choruses and a middle bit is just you're just not going to get that out of me, to be honest. So.
I was the lead singer in another band, Flaming Moe's, and latterly Amphetamines, and I don't have the brain capacity for it. I always used to just hold the words in my hand, and like if I forgot the words for a song, like we just didn't play it that gig. So it's like Matt just won't. It's just like me learning a whole song is just impossible. So it has to just be chopped up. That's the way I do it.
Do you all so because you Taj, Matt, and Joe, you'd all played in Toy Rage before, and Joe, I know you've been in. I was talking to Tom Burgess the other day, and you played with them a couple of times. Like, were you kind of like drumming in lots of different bands, and you came across Toy Age, or did you already know each other?
I don't think I'd in Cleavage. I think it was only like a couple of months thing.
Yeah.
A couple of gigs, and
drummers at that level tend to get shared around, right? Like,
I was going to say I don't remember this. I feel a bit cheated now, actually.
Yeah, no, there was. Yeah,
you cheated on us with other bands, Joe.
Yeah, it was complete cover, so there was nothing.
Sexy sounding bands as well.
Yeah,
but didn't love them.
So did you
not
guys,
like you.
You guys already knew each other from school then? Was that the connection there?
No, not at all. Didn't know any of them. Just from the Red Lion.
It was just from going to. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, just from drinking.
Yeah. That was you. I'm sure, Taj, you're the link man both times. I'm sure because I'm sure you and I were talking about getting a band together. And you were like, oh, I know this guy, Joe. Because I think I knew you, Mr. J, but not that well. And I'm sure Taj kind of did the greasing of the wheels on that, as well as with Si.
Yeah, I remember Taj from school, because we went to the same middle school together.
Yeah.
And then year 6, Taj disappeared, went to like a proper school. And I carried on.
He didn't go that much, I'll tell you that.
I'm trying to get a background for myself as much as anything, because I grew up down in Hastings, so I wasn't kind of aware of any of this, and like I know there's a big sort of thing around the line, but I didn't get involved until a lot later. But was there a kind of like moment, you know, after the 4 of you had got together and you know you've got this kind of the vocals and stuff? Was there a moment where you kind of looked at it and went, I think we've got something special here, or did it just kind of happen and you know you just went with it?
I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah, fair one. So it's just kind of evolved. Because you obviously, you know, you kind of then obviously graduated. You know, you kind of progressed from playing covers and stuff to. Well, I mean, you still. I remember several times you breaking into a impromptu rendition of Enter Sandman because someone's guitar had broken or something. But yeah, like so, you just kind of you wrote more and more songs, and it kind of just went, you know, from there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, once you get signed the band, the guy is literally just a song machine. So, I mean, I don't know when he actually sleeps, to be honest. So, given all the work he does and children and songs, he just doesn't. You can kind of sort of see it when you look into his eyes. But, yeah.
Thanks,
so,
Beautiful.
Wow.
But, no, you know, so I just starts churning out these songs. It's like, well, we got some brilliant songs, and we're really running out of space for any covers anyway.
Yeah.
In some ways, so it was.
It's a great place to be.
It was.
I think.
So
sorry, go on. Sorry.
When we first started, it wasn't entirely me though. It was more 50-50.
Yeah.
Well,
I was doing a bit at the time, and then I just
a couple of Matts as well. So
a couple of Matts as well, yeah. And then I think we both realised. You know, the way the rate side I can actually knock out songs. It's like, well, I don't need to bother.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we'll come on to that a bit in a bit as well, like because I mean, three of certainly three. I don't know. I'm so sorry, but I don't know whether Joe can write a song. Maybe he can, but certainly three of you have all.
I can't.
You can write a fierce drum beat though, you know, so it's all good.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, like there are three of you that can write songs, but like so. I mean, was that ever a kind of? I might be opening a can of worms here, but like was there any kind of problems with that, or like presumably it just kind of. I can't imagine there being, because you're all such sort of egoless guys in a sense, but like was there a kind of trying to push your song forward, or was it just like, this is a great song, this is a great song?
If it was,
the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah,
it would be the other way. It would be, why don't you guys can we play one of yours now?
Can we? Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get at the dirt here, but there isn't.
I mean, from my very limited ideas, Paul, and contributions, I think that I sort of feel like, maybe I can kind of come up with a bit of a rough tune, but I've got, I think when, I don't know, it would look noticeably massively out of place with everything else. So it sort of just, over time, it's just, But the thing is, we're so lucky in this setup because, although, like, Si, you're amazing, we'll sort of send out all these, like, just a, plethora of ideas and pretty much pre-written songs and everything, but we do if we do have kind of any input or any particular ideas or any changes of direction, then it's all up for debate kind of thing. So we're very, very lucky in that respect, I think.
And I think as well, Si's songwriting, so like Matt says, Si's songwriting was just on another level as well. But also I remember him, it's quite amazing actually. He can adapt his songwriting to take in the sort of ideas of what your songwriting's like as well. So perhaps I would tend to write a bit heavier ones, but then Si would then adapt his to include that as well as the poppier elements and stuff. And
I can't write riffs, and you write that one, so I steal yours.
That has happened a couple of times, but I'm quite happy for that.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Oh, has it? I didn't know this. Yeah.
Okay, so your first album, or I mean, I don't know whether you guys would refer it to as an album or an EP. I mean, I think it's longer than an EP personally, but Come Get Some was your first release, I suppose. Well, first fuller length release.
Fuller, yeah.
I think was there a
release of note?
Was there a 3-song thing before that, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, they all ended up on Come Get Some.
They all yeah. So So how long? What was the kind of timescale between? So how long had you been together when Come Get Some came about?
I don't know, about a year or two, I guess. It must have been, so if we were 2001, then it must have been before 2004, so it must have been about 2003.
It's 2002, I think. I'm guessing.
Right.
I mean, like
His
speaking
learning
from,
curve was 2003. But yeah.
yeah.
Wow, we were working quite hard then.
Oh, no, hang on, wait. We've been working really hard recently. It's just how the hell did shit get done so quickly? That's the question. We've been working really fucking hard, but it's taken ages.
You were young and didn't have the responsibilities you now have. I think it's
That was it.
That's true, yeah.
I'm gonna pull off. We're gonna listen to some clips of some songs throughout this interview, and I've chosen them. I've tried to choose what I consider to be songs of note for various reasons. But the first one we're gonna go for this one because it's kind of special to me, which I'll explain after. I'll explain afterwards. But the first song I'm going to pull out, this is WHT Tara. So we'll have a little clip of this. So that was. I don't know how to refer to this song. Presumably, you guys call it Tara rather than WHT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've actually spoken of it in about 20 years.
Yeah, right. I was slightly worried about picking these things out because I was like, oh, they're gonna hate me for this.
No, it's cool. It's nice.
I don't know
it's
what
just,
you think.
But
for
nice
me,
to reminisce.
This is the first clear memory that I have of you guys. So we were playing at a Queen's Jubilee gig, I think. So it must have been 2001, 2002, something like that. And there's a marquee on the rugby field in New Ash Green, the village where I was living, and I think it was on at like 3:00 in the afternoon or something ridiculous, like, which was insane. And I came in and I was like, I'd got myself a drink and stuff, and maybe you played some other songs before, but the moment when I was like, oh my god, these guys are incredible, was you were playing Tara, and you used to do this thing. I've not seen you do it as much recently, and I've seen you do it with different songs as well, but you stop, have a massive chat for quite a while, and then kick back into the song. And that was, I'm pretty sure it's Tara. I might be wrong. Again, it's down to memory, but my memory is just of you stopped, and then Matt pointed at a little girl at the back of the tent and said, "There's a little girl over there who's got her hands right over her ears. It's really funny." and then you have to, like, she was clearly like, "Oh, this band are really loud." and then you chatted between the three of you, and then Joe's like,
"Tell me I didn't go on to mock the little girl or something in that."
I bet you did.
I don't recall that. I just remember you sort of pointing out, "There's a little girl back there with her hands right over her ears." And I was like, "This band are incredible," and it was it was just so fun and. But I think that was one of your kind of, I suppose, sort of more well-known songs back then. Tara, was it? Like, would you say it was like?
Yeah.
It's my dad's favourite. My dad always enjoyed Tara. So you should definitely like take that somewhere. That's really good.
Yeah.
But now looking back on it, it's like.
I was gonna say that middle riff there that it just was kicking into sounded great. Actually.
Yeah.
That's really good. What struck me is I remember being so happy with the production on that at the time, and now listening back to it, I'm like, wow, things have definitely changed, haven't they? In terms of production and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Trying to record 3 songs in 2 days or 3 days. It's kind of.
But yeah, no, that was my kind of, that was the first time I ever saw you guys, and then we were putting on a gig a year or so down the line. I was like, I was immediately in touch with. I think you were the first band I emailed. I think I got Matt's email address off of your old 3dbsdown.com website, and I was like, yeah. So that was my introduction to 3dbs down. So I had to choose that one, really.
That's great. We often got that tune did definitely That was the one from that era, wasn't it? Everybody was always like, play Tara.
Pretty
play Tara.
much, yeah.
And I think at some point we were just like, I think we're going to leave that for now. And so then, of course, that led to more like, sure, play Tara.
Yeah. How long did it take you to ditch it? Like once you decided that we were past that, was it longer than you hoped?
Probably Cow, I think, wasn't it? Sorry, Cow is Can of Worms.
Yeah, I was going
to.
Just as a slight note, and this kind of a bit leads into the next song actually. But you seem to be, and I don't know who it is, whether it's all of you or Sai, but you seem to be chronic song title shorteners or album titles. which begs the question, like, why not just name things shorter? Is that...
Yeah, but if you start from a short point to start with, where does that end up? Where does that end up?
You'd just be calling Can of Worms. So did you actually? So were you writing the next album, or at that point, or were you? Because I know now you, particularly Sai, and I don't know to what extent the rest of you, but you think in albums. Were you writing Learning Curve as an album, or were you just writing more songs at that point?
Yeah, it's just more songs, I think, wasn't it? It's just because everyone was throwing stuff in. So like Rock the Bar was Taj, and Don't Know Yet was Taj, and Holy Cow was Matt, and Apology was Matt, and then me tidying up his ideas a little bit. But it was it was kind of a group effort. It was just everyone. Everyone throwing in everything, and then that's what came on.
So we're going to move on to the bottom of the learning curve, which I think I felt like it was a big step on for you guys. Like the songs are really catchy, and they all seem to have their own identity. And obviously, you've got that thing where all of you are contributing in terms of the songwriting. I'm going to play probably. I feel like this is a song that has lingered, and I'd be fascinated to know when it kind of first debuted and stuff. We're going to put it on. In honour of Sai, I'll intro it as Mag Mead. So we'll have a little listen to this one.
Fell asleep in front of the TV again. No direction makes the days fly by. Coming ways to who used to have a brain. I'm just waiting for someone to set my sights. I am stuck in here. I've been waiting in the middle. I would dream of something more. I don't think that I'll be mediocre, and I will never be magnificent.
So I think for me, like you can hear a band that's like hitting their stride. I think like particularly with this song, like you've got you've really kind of all the different voices are working really well together. You've got that real Taj's kind of guttural roar going on in there, and then you've got the ska and the punk, and then you've just got this kind of anthem of like it's so singable, even though it's sort of saying, in some ways it's saying something quite bleak. It's like I'm in the I'm not mediocre, but I'm not going to be amazing. Like I don't know, like when did that song first hit? Like how did you feel? Like did you realise that it was going to stick around? Because I mean, you still play that song, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I was going to say, I think like you're probably right about that. I think that's when we first started to realise. Perhaps before that, we were doing a bit more songs, one person singing.
Yeah.
Before that, and then the next song it would be someone else being the. And I think that was the first where we really started to mix all the different, and you can hear with like the ska mixing with like the more punky stuff as well. I think that was kind of I think you're probably right. That was probably where we started to get our template, I think, for our sound, wasn't it? I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but that probably seems like the point to me when we started actually defining it rather than more mix and match of different styles of songs. That was it for me, I think. Also, it sounds funny because we play it so fast and everything, our voices clearly have changed. It sounds like, I keep thinking everyone's playing it on like a slightly faster like playback speed. Then I think someone's playing that at the wrong speed, and it's like, no, that's actually just us.
That's how we used to play it.
I was going through some old videos recently just to put together like we've got like a new YouTube channel just to just sort of get some old videos in and some hopefully forthcoming upcoming ones. And I had a copy of Magnificent Mediocre, us playing it in like whenever it was 2003 2004, and I sort of did like a medley with that, and then with us playing it like 2 years ago. And obviously there was a different feel to it overall, not necessarily bad or worse either way. But all I know is watching the one from 2003, just watching us play it, I was fucking knackered. Just watching. Exhausted.
We had a bit more energy about us back then, didn't we, Matt?
I know.
Wow.
Amazing stuff. Any thoughts, Joe or Si, on that? Song?
Yeah, we played fast.
I meant the song in particular.
Yeah, I didn't have an internal metronome then. Not that I have one now. But it was just like, just play as fast as you can. Just
Yeah.
ready, steady.
I think, but that's kind of that punk ethic as well, isn't it? Of just like, how fast can we get this going? Like,
I think our ethic back then was to play everything as fast as we possibly could at the time, regardless of whether it came across well. We just wanted to play really fast.
You were like, what fucking pocket? I ain't seen no pocket. Oh, I love it.
Which personally, I absolutely adore that. Looking back at those videos, don't get me wrong, like the way that things have progressed, it's it kind of makes sense, and I'm sort of very, very comfortable with that. But it's quite cool looking back and just going, because we would just sort of play a show and it would just be like, our lives depend on it, and still we play as hard as we possibly can now, and we put everything we can into it, no doubt about that. But back then it was just like, hold on to the seat of my pants. You're not wearing any pants. Jesus Christ.
Buckle in.
Yeah.
Time to go. I love it. So we're moving on to the tricky third album. That's not what anyone says, is it? So Can of Worms. By this point you were kind of, you were doing a lot of touring and had some record label interest and things like that. I remember buying the Quick Fix single, which we'll hear shortly. Was it the single or the album? I can't remember. I remember doing something from buying it from Virgin in Brighton.
I think that was the album, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think we released
Yeah.
a single.
But there was a single with Quick Fix, Magnificent Mediocre, and Bondage Queen, I believe. Was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was we just sort of did it as like a in advance of the album release type thing, and there was just like a few that we sort of dished out beforehand. I think I'd forgotten that Bondage Queen was on that. Blimey.
check out my knowledge. Well, let's have a quick listen to Quick Fix. Oh. So this was the single you put out before from the album. So here we go. Quick.
I'm looking deep, and she's got bicycle at my face behind my head and tie. But my bones are weaker like everyone's. Now their spirits keep them forever young. And at the end, it didn't do any good. I'm still who I was, mistakes are misunderstood. The fleeting high, it gives us that tail. So I'll go through it all again. Whatever fits me up, let's say it's out. I have wanted to perfection. And I can be just like you want me. We've enough observation.
It's just a blinder of a song. And
Lots of energy.
Yeah. And was that a slightly different mix for the single as well, or a slightly different?
I think it was slightly. Was it mastered slightly differently? But I can't remember. I'm sure there was something slightly different about it.
The single definitely, to my ear, has a bit more oomph.
Yeah, I think Jim mastered it again, didn't he, with the other two?
Yeah.
Jim at Ranscombe.
Ranscombe.
Studios.
Jim
Yeah,
Riley.
Who we did Cow with, he
just
remastered them. So.
Starting to see a bit more. I mean, like with this album, like you're starting to see a bit more kind of social commentary coming through, which wasn't necessarily not there before, but I think like it seems to be a bit more prominent. Like particularly with songs like this, the just sort of tearing into the kind of this culture of you've got to look good, got to will look good
beauty
on the
industry
outside.
and everything that
Yeah.
comes with it.
Was
It's
that-
just growing up, I think.
Yeah. Presumably by this point you'd kind of all settled down a bit more and looking for other subjects for the girls.
No, not really.
quite.
Probably wouldn't go that far, but I guess we've probably, like you say, grown up a little bit and started to see things outside of just drinking and partying, maybe. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously you go out on the, having been out on the road and
Yeah.
played with some ridiculous bands, you start taking in a lot more and paying attention a lot more, and you start understanding a lot more. And so it's, it kind of all comes out of that. Suddenly going, this isn't all happy party times. Let's talk about something else. So
Like how much were you playing around that time? Like
practicing, I don't know, a couple of times a week, and then gigging. Like I don't know, once or twice weekly, and then going out for stints. We would.
Yeah, because you had your own van as well at that point, didn't you? Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were pretty much busy every week almost. I think we would have a gig of some description every week.
Are there any that particularly stand out, like particularly around that sort of time, or like that were?
I'm probably not the best person to answer this question because they're all a bit of a blur to me.
I mean, I'm assuming that there was a fair share of ones where you kind of travel and then the promoter or whatever hasn't done their duty and you're sort of playing to barely anyone.
Plenty of them.
Some disasters. Yeah.
I think number one on that list has to be. We had a show in Manchester and we drove all the way to Manchester for one show. It wasn't even a tour. It was just like a one-off thing. So we I think we might have been going just to sort of stay the night at a mate's house, Dr. Bob, in his university campus, and then kind of the next day. We turned up and it was kind of a punk rock, very sort of punk rock kind of vibe. And this very punky band were playing, and a couple of guys in the audience were like, let's just rough each other up a bit, like getting into the band and that. And then that roughing up turned into like a massive fucking pool of blood on the floor. And Si was just like, you just like, that's not agreeing with me. So went into the toilet and passed out.
Oh no.
And cracked
his head on the sink.
Causing more blood.
Oh no. So you didn't even play?
No, I ended up in A&E.
We ended up watching back at Dr. Bob's watching
Finding Nemo.
Rock and roll, motherfucker.
This is the most rock and roll story I've ever heard in my life.
That was actually the first That's Not Skanking gig. I was just chatting to Andy about it as well because he remembered that.
Oh, yeah, it's the first one.
So that was their first show they were putting on because they were a fanzine up there. They put out a fanzine, like a sort of punk fanzine. So they brought us all the way up there and then we couldn't play.
Oh no. So we've had the worst. I mean, are there any ones that stand out as being good, or is it just all pools of blood and A&E?
We were so lucky around that time. We were on a good booking agency and we got to play with some fucking incredible bands: Sonic Boom 6, Adequate 7, Howard's Alias, RX Bandits, like just
Captain
all
Everything.
these
Captain Everything.
There's lots of really good ones like that. I used to really enjoy playing the Rochester ones for the who were the Scar guys down there. They were always cracking, playing with Morgan's Puff Adder and One Elliot and stuff. The Morgan Ram One Down tour we did with Morgan's Puff Adder, Ran for Days, One Day Elliot. That was again, it's a blur, but it was a fun blur,
Amazing.
Wasn't there one we played in Leeds with those guys? And we went all the way to Leeds for like one gig. I think I went up there after work.
I think that was just us.
There.
Yeah, that was just us, wasn't it? We went up on our own. But I remember that one very well as well because you were absolutely exhausted, wasn't it? Because you went to work and met us up there all the way up
and then went
Leeds.
to work the next day.
Man,
it's dedication, though.
unbelievable.
Dedication.
The things you used to do, Mr. J, were just unbelievable in terms of
all four of
driving
us squeezing into the back.
Yeah.
Sorry, all four of us squeezing into a Vauxhall Vectra van. No, Astra
With
van.
gear.
With gear.
With the gear.
Getting pulled over by the police and Matt putting his hand on the boot so they didn't open it with me inside, just sort of squeezed in the back.
I remember once driving down a one-way street, and then we had loads of people in the back of when we actually had a proper band van with bunks in and stuff. We had like 9 people in the back, and I remember driving accidentally the wrong way down a one-way street. And I was like, this isn't good. And then the next car I saw was a police car, and I was just like, this really isn't good. And I was just like, winding down the window, sorry, yes. Please don't look in the back. Just people like hanging out on the bunk beds, like. You know.
Yeah. Was there a story about a tyre around that time? I might be mixing this up with another band. Was there something that happened with a tyre on your band?
I don't know about a tyre, but I know that we once went like on a full on 2-week tour type thing around the UK, where it was like, all the way up to Scotland, all the way back round to the southwest and stuff. And we went to pick, I think it was we picked Psy up first or something, and the van broke down before we'd even started. And we got the AA guy out, and he was just like, I don't know, he just did some sort of Mickey Mouse manoeuvre with like a coat hanger or something.
It was the clutch, wasn't it? The clutch had gone.
Was it the clutch? Right.
Yeah.
He said you need a new clutch. He fixed it with. Didn't he put just a pin in it? It was a metal pin.
Yeah, and he said don't drive it too far. Get it to a garage. We were like, right, you are.
And we did the whole lot, man. So we went around the whole country, 10 days or something. And then we dropped Psy off, and the van was like, fuck this, and just broke down at that point.
Yeah.
It's just on the doorstep on the way back. It's just astonishing.
Amazing.
But I remember Joe was driving it around in Newquay up those hills with no clutch, I think, at the time as well. Just changing gear, trying to time the changes on a hill as well, really steep hills, and managing to still somehow get us back home as well was incredible. Yeah, and then finally, but almost the worst bit though, 10 days, absolutely exhausted, just get to just outside Si's house, 20 minutes away from mine by drive, and we break down and we're stuck there for another 2-3 hours, just waiting around, feeling like death.
Yeah, right. That's fantastic. And we obviously need to move on to the new album. I'm going to play one more song from Ken Owens, but again, it's so hard to pick, to be honest. But this one, again, it feels like a standout, and so in particular the live performance of it, and so we're going to listen to Sadako. Brackets blow up the world. Do you guys have any idea when you were recording that little or maybe it happened before you recorded it, I don't know, but the little bit in the middle where he's going, there's no cure for the emptiness, that became such a sing-along moment, when you were playing that live, and a number of times I've seen you play it live and had shivers down my spine because the whole room seems to be shouting there's no cure for the emptiness. Was that did you have any idea, or did that just emerge?
I think that just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it just emerges. Yeah, it's kind of obviously it's plugged in as written as a musical crescendo point. It all builds up to that, and it just cuts. So it's designed for that, but it wasn't. Yeah, but you don't know that it's going to happen.
You don't realise exactly how well it's going to work.
I mean, that's an amazing thing when you go drive miles away and you don't think anyone's even going to know who you are, and then it gets to that bit in the song and you see quite a few people sometimes in the crowd shouting along to that bit, and it's oh wow, that's quite something when that happens, or like you say, that where we're sort of a bit more known locally, when you get a whole room of people doing it, it's quite It does
Buying
give you a
something.
nice, it gives you a nice feeling to see that. I always appreciate that.
So yeah, I think we're kind of I didn't really talk much about the recording process of Can of Worms. Was it that one was that the same place again, or was that was a different place, wasn't it?
Ramskin. So that was
Ramskin.
complete reel to reel. That was
Yeah.
all analog.
Oh, so that's
So-
oh, really?
That was
Yes.
analog. Apart from obviously Sadako.
Which was done at Animal Farm.
Oh,
'cause that
yeah.
was-
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. The rest
Although
of the
we
album was.
did record one of Sadako, didn't we? We did record Sadako in its first incarnation.
Yeah, I was listening to that the other
Ramskin.
day. I found it.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So you did-
We might need it.
So when you recorded the album, you recorded a different version of Sadako, and then you re-recorded Sadako.
Yes.
Yeah, it was re-recorded as a single. The label on the road that we were
That's right.
working
Yeah.
with at the time was he's kind of picked a pink on it. It's like that. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
So he gave us a bit more money to go and do it.
Okay, I didn't.
Not that
I'm
Ransom
sure.
wasn't probably, but it was a bit more
Yeah.
polished.
Yeah.
Which wasn't. So the cow is. I said reel to reel, it's all analog, and it's the sound of four blokes in a room. It really is
Yeah.
quite.
It was a
It's
6-inch
just how
track
tight
reel
we
as well.
were. It really
Yeah.
is just. It's basically a live record, just with some vocals done afterwards.
Yeah.
It was,
I mean, really,
So-
again, you'd progressed again from the previous album, and again, you're like spoilt for choice in terms of playing live songs. I feel. I don't know if that's the way you feel about it.
no, I'm still, yeah, very proud of that one. There's no. There probably are. If you ask, I've listened to it. I'll be, yeah, no, there's that bit, but there's no real weak bits in it. I think I'm quite proud of most.
Yeah. No, I thoroughly agree. Yeah. And there's is there a couple of Taj songs on there? I can't.
No, I don't think so.
Is it
Frankenstein,
Oh yeah,
It's
sorry,
mainly-
yeah.
It's
which is literally
it's your. I think it's your bridge and chorus, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
I ripped and chucked a verse and an end section on.
But I mean, this goes back to what Taj was saying, I suppose, earlier, that you like that as a songwriter, you're actually incorporating the rest of the band, which is an incredibly generous sort of thing to do. In a
Yeah,
good
no,
way,
I think he was. I remember thinking back then. Si was with his songwriting from when he first joined.
Yeah.
He's probably was more on the pop side of things, and then you could see him sort of slowly incorporating our particular tastes into his songwriting. So I think it's very clever way to do it.
I
You
just
say
started
that.
listening to the same bands that you guys were listening to. you improved my music taste. It's like, oh,
Well, you say that, but like Eternity is one of yours, isn't it? Sorry,
yeah.
that's a filthy
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That was just let's throw everything at the wall. That was,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous piece of music.
it's got to be one of the filthiest things you'll ever hear with doo-wops in.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because it kind of goes from this like,
Never gonna lose the pop.
and then it's just amazing.
It's a wild hearts trick. You chuck in a ridiculously heavy bit.
Yeah.
And you get to the chorus, and then you just go, yeah, Beach Boys it.
Euphoria moment.
Love
Yeah.
it.
That's it. Yeah.
Actually, I've forgotten about that one. I love that song. That's a
a
great
great
tune
song.
as well.
I
Yeah.
think
It's-
I think I went.
It's the mid late of it is just so silly.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's
I think we actually played that when I was depping on bass that time. I think we played that one, and that was great fun to sing.
Yes.
Yeah, we did bring it back for a little bit, didn't we? And then, yeah.
That's great. Okay, so we've given everyone a potted history of 3DBs Down and where you had got to at the point of Can of Worms, and we're talking. What are we? 10 years later than Can of Worms? 15 years later? Do you want to go down that
15.
path?
15.
15.
And you all of a sudden have burst back in. You've skipped an album, so I mean, this is not conventional song releasing. I mean, is there anything you want to say about the? Is it Picking Sides that's the missing album?
It's just called. It
Oh,
was
just Sides.
called-
Sides.
It was just sides.
Sides.
Yeah. Sides. It was some of it is on Get Your Retaliation in first. It's I think there's 2 or 3 of them,
Yeah.
but Yeah, it was originally that album existed in well, it's my, we say it's a debut album. It's not. It was entirely in my head. There's demos of stuff that we were playing from like 2007 onwards. So things like Humbug and the song called Picking Sides, and there's other stuff that's floating around like Reap Myra Wenge and things that were all set for that one. But yeah, we stopped for a bit, and then we kind of got back together. Well, not got back together again, but we started picking up the gigs again and playing a few more, and and then it kind of got to. I started writing some more, I guess. About 2017, started picking it up a bit more.
Okay.
And it's weird. It's kind of every time we write not write an album, but start putting an album together, it seems to be as a response to something. Yeah. Like Learning Curve was we started playing outside the area, and we saw One Day Elliot. Yeah. And they had a New Direction. Which was their record at the time, and it's just a stun. It is a stunning record.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great record.
And we kind of went, we could do that. let's have a go. And so then that leads to the Learning Curve, and then we get out on the road some more, and you play we're playing with Howard's Alias, and we're touring with Adequate 7. It's like, okay, that leads into Can of Worms, just because it's like push it a little bit further and see what we can do. And then this one was the songs were all sides, and there was very little ska on it, and it's quite rocky, the songs that were written for that. But then we started playing Paul Smith, bless him, just kept dragging us back to the New Cross scene.
And I mean, obviously at this point, massive shout out to B Sharp and New Cross Inn.
They kept us alive.
I don't think we would have done this album if it probably wasn't for Paul. Actually, no. Kind of keeping us going.
Yeah. He wonderfully folded us into that's part of that scene, part of the ska scene, and kind of like actually, no, we love playing this, and we love watching people dance to it, and it's where the heart is. So right now, we start down that road, and the songs started coming. And it's like, okay, this is starting to come together. And then it was Call Me Malcolm. Yeah, was the kick up the arse. Was you see when they put out I Was Broken When I Got Here. Yeah, and you get to that, and you can listen to it and go, okay, all right, all right.
I mean, again,
we can have a go at this again. We could try this again. So and then it all just started teaching the boys the songs again, and it went on from there.
So it's kind of more about genre in terms of like the inverted commas missing album, I suppose. Like it was just too. It wasn't where you're wanting to be at that point.
It's more just like some of the songs were old, and some of them just not as good as the stuff that was coming. I mean, there's some really good stuff, but it's I mean, Get Your Retaliation first. Like, as I say, I've listened to the album. I've had the privilege of listening to the album, and it is the next step on. It's superb. So these these songs are predominantly because there are some older ones on there. So Greatest Day, Hanging Their Man, Signal.
And Signal.
At My Signal was one of the.
But so the rest of them are predominantly 2017, 2018 onwards kind of thing.
Most of them are
flat out sort of an incarnation of a lot of
Flat Out's been going since about 2006, hasn't it?
That's gone through some changes, hasn't it?
I think we're on. It's an ongoing joke, but I generally think we're on version 50 something.
Yeah, I think Si was just determined to get this song on something, right? No matter what we did with it, it just wouldn't go away for some reason. But we just kept reiterating it and changing it, and
I fixed it. No, this time I've really fixed it. This time I've really fixed it.
So you were kind of getting these again, and then because I remember sort of hearing you starting to talk about it at gigs and stuff, and in the conversations you're having. So and you decided to go with Paul West in New Ash Green. Was was that? I mean, I do, you know, because obviously I've been doing loads of stuff with him, and I've had various members of your. Well, I've had Matt and Cy in to do stuff. Sorry, Taj and Joe.
That's all right.
It's really nothing personal.
None taken.
Yeah, I mean, like, so was that an easy decision, or like, you know, where moving on?
It was a decision about obviously we knew Paul's work from working with you and hearing what you guys were putting out, and obviously we all know Paul personally, and he's just a lovely guy and know what he's capable of. So, and then it was about how we were going to be able to do it in terms of none of us are in a position to take like 2 weeks off work and something and get stuck in a studio. So it was how can we do this? We're going to have to do this as we can. Yeah. So
and you started. So it started in 2019.
18 December.
2018. December 2018.
Yeah, December. That's when the guides went down.
So
was
you went.
Bloody hell.
So you went and did the guides, and then Joe, you did the drums. That was over
February.
Was that over 2 days?
Yeah, 2 days. We went down to a place in. Probably going to get this wrong now, but I think Sheerness. That's all way.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was great. I had a great couple of days down there with Paul. He's very encouraging. It was great.
Was it just you and him then for that session, like? Or
90% of the time, I think. Cy dropped in a couple of times, which was very helpful. There would have been parts definitely missed if Cy didn't turn up for his inspirational bits.
Yeah.
It's like, don't forget this bit.
Is this and presumably this is the first time you've actually done a record where you're not necessarily all in the same place at the same time.
Yeah,
because of the necessity of
and it shows, judging by the amount of bits we had to go back and re-record. we'd missed them the first time round.
So there was 2 days of drums, and I imagine probably like a day and a half of that was just setting up the mics, right?
Yeah. I think the first day was pretty much, very easy going. You know, setting up the right sound, tuning the drums, and getting it all right. And then, I think we got about halfway through the album on the first day. Yeah. And it got slightly late the second day, but the pack down was literally right. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're done. And it was packed
Were
down
you recording
minutes.
them in order? I mean, like, do you feel? I mean, I couldn't tell you. Like, do you feel like you know, when you listen to them, are you like, could you feel that you were flagging at all, or is it like you were just so pumped to do that?
No, not at all. I think there was enough space between them.
Yeah.
Listening back to bits and going, we can redo those bits and what have you. There was enough break to sort of get the energy back and what have you. So it was...
Well, I know as well you were practicing like crazy, like, you know, in your garage, weren't you? And
yes,
like
I was. Yeah, I warned the neighbours and everything. Like, just to let you know, I'm recording an album. You might not like it, but you may like it. I don't know. But it's going to be noisy for a couple of days.
Brilliant. So February 2018, drums go down. 2019, sorry, drums go down, and then the next up was the bass, presumably.
Yeah, in April.
April.
It was before we put the guides down. It was like a meeting. We sat down with Paul in the rugby club just on the evening, and Paul went, right, here's how we're going to do this. Bang, 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 and just wrote everything down. It's like, here we do the drums, here we do the bass, here we do the guitars, bang, bang, bang. And we all sat there and went, oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're making an album. We're going to make an album. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine. It was Paul's drive on it that was the convincing factor. So, in April was the bass in, I think, 2 days. 2 days in April.
And presumably, it was a similar thing. You managed to get through like half of it one day, and
we spent I was well prepped and Paul's bang on it. So I think we spent the second afternoon watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. While he was doing some editing. But it's a good way to spend the afternoon.
I suppose, I mean, of everyone, you're the one that's lived and breathed these songs the longest, I guess. So in that sense,
yeah, they've been monkeys on my back for a while. So it's, if I didn't know how they went, it would have been some serious problems. So, yeah. I still managed to make up some mistakes, but they were.
and then moving on to guitars, was that because I dropped into a few bits and pieces, but I'm losing track of when the things were. So like, was it both of you at the same time? I can't remember.
No, it was Matt first.
Matt went first.
And then for some reason, I think Matt you were on your own, weren't you, Matt?
Yeah. Apart from Si sort of swung in through the window a couple of times heroically just to kind of go, actually, I'm not sure that bit's right. Like,
it's just just drive by and shoot your confidence down.
No, not like that at all. No, it was more like things were going well, and I'd reach a point where I'd be like, oh, do you know what? I'm not sure that sounds right, and like you would just drop it inside, and just at the right moment you were like, no, actually, no, it should be. It's like, oh, great, and you're like, okay, cool, right, see you later. I was like, oh wow, it's like time to perfection.
Yeah.
But don't leave me alone ever again.
So we're talking. Is this May, June?
It's July, I think.
July is that?
July.
There's quite a few kind of gaps in between, like.
There's 3-month intervals we were doing.
Okay. Yeah.
Through that.
And there was a bit of I can't remember why, but mine got delayed quite a while, didn't it, before I actually went down there.
I remember.
You went to Colombia, I think, wasn't it? You went on.
I did the guitars before that because I remember. Because my guitars, we had a bit of problems because there was a delay anyway, and then by the time we did them, it was like boiling hot midsummer, and but to the point where Paul's laptop just gave up in the heat, and we were trying to record at about sort of 4:00 in the evening, and I remember we kept trying to start flat out. And every time he'd start recording, his laptop would just shut down. We had like all the doors open, everything, trying to get some air in there. Yeah. And in the end, we just had to give up. Yeah. So that sort of delayed. So we then had to come back a bit later and carry on again because we sort of kept losing a bit of time on things. And I think, bless him, one of them, Paul's house electrics. I
remember that.
Yeah, his father-in-law, bless him, managed to. I think he blew up Paul's entire electric system in the house, didn't he? And so we had to cut short a few times there because obviously poor old Paul's family had no power and everything, and so it suddenly got a bit bitty at that point, but we managed to get through it and get it all done and everything, and it was amazing.
Didn't his appendix burst as well?
Twice.
Twice. That was towards the end of 2019.
Yeah, that was when we started doing vocals, wasn't it? When I'd just come back from Colombia, and then then we had that issue. Poor old Paul, in hospital and everything. But an absolute trooper. We thought he was out for the count for a long time, and I think about a week after he came back, he went, "I'm feeling like we should get back on this." And it was like, "Are you sure?"
This is laying in bed recuperating from major surgery. Editing vocals in bed while he was doing it. Yeah, it was amazing.
And then I suddenly get a call from him going, let's carry on with those vocals. It's like, okay, all right, fair enough.
And then you were so you're finishing off the vocals. What was that, November, December, was it? Because I remember you were doing some gang vocal stuff by December, and you had Cess in December, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Jesus. Lockdown's lockdown has warped time completely.
It really has, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cess came in like an absolute trooper, and
while pretty much about to
8 months pregnant. Yeah, bless her.
Screaming her lungs out.
We genuinely had in-band conversations. It was, Cess is going to sing this bit and this bit and this bit and this bit. Oh yeah, and she'll come in and she'll do this bit, and that's going to be great. And then we got to recording the vocals, and it's like, we have mentioned this to Cess that we're doing this, right? And we haven't actually asked her. Oh, okay, we should probably tell her.
Hadn't we already even sent her the message going, "Great news, you're in the studio tomorrow"?
Yes,
Wait a minute.
that was it. Yeah, she was like, I was a little surprised, but very happy to do it.
There was also a moment where we all got a message from Paul, which read, "Studio been broken into,
Oh God, yeah.
everything stolen," and I was in a meeting at work with my phone in front of me, and my colleagues must have been like, "Why is Matt dribbling?" Because this is like, I was just thinking, everything's been what now? And then underneath, like the preview in the message is like, "Don't worry, but I've got everything backed up." But I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Like, trust Paul to lead with the dramatic part. I mean, it really has been a massive roller coaster, right? Like, you guys must be so relieved that it's coming out.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think the four of us have got off easy. Paul's just been put through the ringer. He's had a year and a half. It's from illness and new babies and moving house and electronics and then break-ins and
he's had a hard time with that, hasn't he?
Just to make it that much more difficult, he's had to deal with our vocals.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were hoping to get Paul on tonight, but unfortunately he's in France and he's on some kind of satellite. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, so
Has he been drinking heavily? Or?
But yeah, we were hoping to get him on, and I was going to grill him about the production because again, I mean, listening through, in particular the vocals, but everything sounds phenomenal. But the vocal, there's just so much going on, and you kind of think back to that guy with Learning Curve, was it? Who was saying, "You guys need to get your shit together." Like,
didn't know he'd been born. Yeah. Didn't know he'd been born.
Right.
Every engineer that we've ever worked with has lost it at us at some point for the vocals. It's a kind of a point of pride for us.
Yeah, we really did try.
You've got to sort this out. Even when we did just one song with Animal Farm, the guys at Animal Farm, really nice Canadian guys, they were just trying to work out what the hell we were doing on the chorus.
Yeah.
To the point where they just stood us in the line and were like, Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? You don't need to. Why are you doing that?
It's starting to get under the skin of why no other band has had this 3 lead singers approach. Right?
Yes.
Well, I guess because you are you're the person who's singing the lead is then all of a sudden singing backing vocal or the second backing vocal line or whatever, and and then he's singing an extra line,
yeah, and there's counter melodies come in. I think the record we have is, I think there's Greatest Day. I think it's got something like 25 voices going. By the time you chuck in all the gangs, it's
I do feel
one of which is you, of course, Toby, and sounding like
I was kind of one of the last ones on the record in terms of doing some lockdown. And you say you got Paul? It's Paul Elliott. Paul Elliott. Paul Jones from One Day Elliott.
Yeah, he really kindly chucked in a line for "Hang in there, man" for us. We recorded. He asked us to record that a long time ago. And he, for his something he was doing, I think for his doctorate, or was it before then?
That was above the shots up in the Ash Green, wasn't it? That was with Paul.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah,
and we wanted to update the song, but we really like Paul's vocal on it.
Yeah.
Just, tap him up, get him in there.
And is there some keys in? Am I mishearing in one of the songs?
There's loads. There's quite a few synths and things on it.
Yeah. So who was that? Was that you, Si, or was that?
Yeah, that's all me.
Nice.
It's not. Well, some of it's played, but it's amazing what you can do with MIDI in terms of straightening stuff out.
Yeah.
But it's I blame GarageBand. You write on there and they give you tools that you really shouldn't have.
Well, you really should. I mean,
you just haven't earned, and then you get to the studio and you go, "Well, you can do this. We can do this."
I think you need to get a gig, with Apple showing what you can do, because you do a lot of demoing and have even released stuff that is iPhone GarageBand. It's not even a computer. That's correct? Like you record into your iPhone.
Yeah, I have to. I have 2 small children and a very busy wife, so I have to work in pretty much silence and record vocals in my car and things like that. So
it's quite a feat, I've got to say. But yeah, that's really cool. So I mean, some of the songs obviously we've said are, potentially like 10 to 15 years old, and then the rest of them obviously are slightly more recent. But I mean, the kind of whole the overall. I mean, as much as I'm probably going to get this wrong, so I'm just going to throw it out there, and then you can completely correct me. But like, again, you've taken another step on in terms of the kind of, I guess, the social commentary from previous albums, and it seems to me a great balance of kind of introspection about personal kind of aspirations and failings, and then turning that lens outwards as well, and the kind of aspirations and failures of society, which I assume is just getting more and more pertinent by the day. I mean, are you?
I mean, it's been a shitty 4 years, basically. I think we probably all agree, really. So that's probably where that's coming from. I would, not to take words out of Si's mouth, but
yeah,
just the 4. That's been 2010.
Yeah,
in a pretty crap decade.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the whole album. Actually, like, it does seem quite bleak, but actually, like, overall the message is actually hope. Like, and I think we'll talk about this in a little bit as well. But like, right in the centre of the album, you've got idiot, ignorant, evil, and it's just got this kind of resounding statement of. It's a two-sided thing. Like, it's saying like, how can people be like this, but also like we've got faith in humanity. It might be a little shredded at the moment.
but we can work on it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
There's always it's finding the glimmers, isn't it, in terms of that?
Yeah.
It's you look around and you see how much crap stuff is going on, but then you see bits and pieces like a few days ago the K-pop kids who completely trounced the Trump singing. It's so funny. It's genius, and that's just the kids on the internet just absolutely rinsing the president of the United States.
Yeah, and even then you've got stuff that's that's kind of actually pointing to that and saying that there is some hope in as well in the generations to come.
Yeah, there's so much positivity. There is.
To what extent? Because obviously, I mean, Si, you're writing these songs and you're putting meaning in, and I know that kind of changes sometimes even for yourself when you're writing songs like that. The meaning kind of evolves and stuff like that. But to what extent do you all discuss the meanings behind them, or like to what extent would Si explain those meanings? Like, does that happen, or do you just kind of play them?
Si has actually put together like a summary, which is amazing.
I haven't read it though, actually.
There's the DBs in a nutshell.
I skimmed it.
I mean, it's pretty short anyway.
Story of my life.
Lou, my wife, I'll play her a tune that we've recorded, and she's like, "What's this about?" And I'm like, well, and I pull up Si's summary. And then I'm just like
I mean, you're not pulling many punches here, Si.
It's been a pretty fraught decade. I think everyone can kind of agree on that. It's just been, and it's hard not to let some of that out.
Yeah, I mean, the lyric that's just popped in my head was the Chinless Wonders. That was quite fun.
that pops into my head. Yeah, and also just fucking watching like Newsnight, it's just like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah. And do you, like, how many of these do you find yourself singing along with when you're drumming, Jay? Because one of the great things watching you guys play is like Joe is just 100% into it. He's not got a mic or anything, but he's just like he's absolutely throwing himself 100% into these songs.
Yeah, don't give me a mic. I even thought this was a bad idea, but
you've been brilliant. Are they all going to be too complicated to drum and sing?
Yeah, without a doubt, it'd be out of tune, and I'd get the wrong words. It would be a nightmare.
That's the same as me, Joe. Don't worry about it.
That makes four of us.
Two of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're so let's move on. Coming up next, I'm going to go through these for us. The next steps. Well, actually, let's have a listen, because the first single is going to be out beginning of July, is it?
10th of July.
10th of July. Yeah. And that's Count to a Million. So I'm gonna give the people a taste of this song. So let's have a listen.
You can't escape the night. I've been wasting my time waiting for a new solution, but I don't think it's happening. Most people are trying to stay upright while the bubble is collapsing. Every person for themselves, all for one and one for me. Unity has to be the core of us, so let's together take the best. There's so many people. Concrete's not permanent. You just said by the school you attended. Damn lies and statistics. Since the scale prints failure and nosebleeds. And again and around it goes. Just 1 million.
I mean, already, you know, it's got all the hallmarks of classic 3dB sound, but it's just on another level. There's nothing wrong with the other albums, but that's, you know, you can already tell, like, it's you've taken it up to 11. Like how difficult was it to come down to the first single? You know, I mean, was there a lot of disagreement, or like have you all kind of landed in the same place in terms of that being the first single?
No, disagreements, but we all I think we all come to it's democracy at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you know, we kind of you know, you're never going to have a situation where one of us is totally refusing to deal with what everyone else wants to do, kind of thing. I mean, I had certain ideas, but everyone's like, well, you know, easing around me. No, this would probably, we think these ones might be better, and it's like, fair enough. You know, that's the way it works.
That's, you know, it's very. It's good to know that, you know, you're as a band, you're practicing the things you want to see in society. like Taz isn't going up and down, you know, screaming fake news and refusing to just putting out his own singles.
That's just when I'm drunk.
It's a fantastic song, and I've actually got the cheat sheet here in front of me, so like I'm just sitting here saying like I'm interpreting it correctly, but the summary is we're 70 million people living together, we should act like it, which is very pithy and great. But that idea of, you know, there's so many people and so many lies. Like, what in terms of I mean, where did this song start? Like, what's the story? Let's get into it.
It's just a sense of scale. It's kind of when you, I guess, just in terms of although we are a relatively small country, you kind of see 70 million people and trying to one opinion and things like that. You see like on pages, and there's kind of a 1,000 likes or 2,000 replies or something. You know, just those kind of numbers. But then you kind of go, there's 70 million people in the country. Yeah, everything's going, okay. How the hell do you get to anything on that kind of scale? Yeah, trying to do the right thing for that many people is incredibly complicated.
And it's interesting as well. Like, you know, the kind of you know, concrete's not permanent, and you've just got to hit it hard enough. We're starting to see.
That's it. Yeah.
Hopefully,
fingers crossed. Yeah, it keeps moving in the way it is.
Yeah.
It's, just a plea for progress, I guess.
And I love the effect as well that's carried over from the early demos. Like, it's not quite the same effect you had in the original ones, but the robot voice at the beginning there.
the cheap robot, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Speaking of which, just with the video in mind, if anybody listening has a cheap toy robot, please do get in touch.
Matt's details will be in the. It's the internet. You can't not find them, frankly. That's going to be videos, right? Exciting. I'm gonna move on because I'm conscious of the time moving on. But the second single, which is going to be later in July. I'm not quite.
That'll be into August.
In August.
sometime,
Okay,
yeah.
so the album's coming out end of July. First single 10th of July, and the second single in August. Now, I mean, I've got to say this is probably my favourite song. So I mean, that's a little bit why I'm moving on as well. So you know, you've all had your turn. It's my turn. Yeah,
Toby's just going to edit out all 4 of our choices.
You know, I did hear, and I was again privileged enough to hear some of the earlier demos of some of these things, and this one stood out, you know, right from the beginning. And actually, the 4 of you, you know, with Joe, obviously, from what we were saying before, like put in a lot of work to realise some of this stuff. But the 4 of you and Paul as well have just pulled it out of the bag with this. It is probably one of the most ambitious songs I think I've ever heard from someone that's not got a budget of millions.
Interesting fact as well. I don't think it nearly didn't make it onto the album, did it? It was going to be another song, and then I suddenly noticed when we was getting prepped, I was like, oh, where's that one? Where's it gone? And we
was very much under the
yeah.
He went under the "If We Have Time" title, I think was
yeah.
If we can be.
Specifically, Ted, as well. I remember you going like, "Where's the one that goes dun 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 dun?" dun? And we're like, I don't know, man. What one's that?
Well, let's have a quick listen. I can't remember actually which. I mean, it's so hard to pick parts of these songs. I was saying to Taj earlier on. So let's see what I picked, because I've got no idea. There we go. This is "Everyone Here Is Better Than You," which is the second single.
She's so young and we're so old, and whippers never back in your past. The humiliation is worth nothing if we're learning not. She gives me a lead, beating down from an inadequacy. Through fights and shame, we're all to blame. Most emergency. There's clarity of thought. You know it's making sense. You can't avenge the passion of the pure intent. Awakened by the thoughts, the anger and the fuss. We hide behind it secretly. It will repeat. I know. Everyone here is better than you. I know. But we get it through, it's temperature. I know. It's hard to take, but what can you do?
I mean, you've completely screwed over everyone trying to sing along in the verse. Can I just say? I genuinely don't know which thread to pick at. I've got the lyrics in front of me. I'm like, I want to sing it all. I feel like, you know, you've ever heard those beatboxers who do the beat and the melody at the same time. So they basically the way they break it down is, you know, they're kind of basically doing a. And they've learned every single bit. I feel that's what I need to do. Like, I need to learn each word and try and sing them. Like, you've got, yeah. I mean, first of all in the verses you've got Matt and Taj are actually trading off, not even whole lines, part lines.
2 syllables, yeah.
2 syllables
at a time.
That was probably about as close as we got to Breaking Paul, I think.
Well, that's the same.
And ourselves.
Yeah. and then all of a sudden, you know, Sai comes in as well. So Sai's got the background line, and then it's all kind of piling up, and people are coming in and out of each other's. It's just insane. Like,
Even Toby sounds traumatised. Jesus, Sai, what have you done?
I mean, there's a part.
Nailed it.
I mean, there's a big part of me that, like, I mean, how long did that take to craft in terms of writing that? You know, that was it obvious to you from the start that that's where it was going, or did you just keep having extra ideas that had to get in there?
Well, how that the verses is.
Yeah.
No, I think that was just how it always.
Always
that's how it goes.
That's incredible.
It was just kind of, okay,
yeah.
Because there's so much space for what's going on as well, and I think Paul obviously has contributed enormously to that in the production, but just it's insane.
You can have we have 3 singers, and sometimes we kind of the music underneath the vocal is really simple. Yeah. I mean, obviously Joe is absolutely killing it. And the drum track is astounding. If you just hear it going, it's phenomenal. But but the other two aren't doing very much. It's just me and Mr. J for most of the verses.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
why not make them work for them?
I mean, how much are you,
and work we did.
how much are you looking forward to playing this song live?
Yeah, I think you'd be all right. I'll go it down now.
Well, I played it to Dave Irving as well, and the first thing he said,
Shout out to Dave Irving.
shout out to Dave Irving. He said, the first thing, you're going to want to play that one pretty early on in the set, aren't you? Before you've had a few drinks." It's like, yeah, that's a fair point, actually.
The fact that Dave Irving is saying that, colour me concerned.
I love it. I mean, and as well, you know, and then the chorus is eminently singable as well. So you know that kind of obviously, I'm in by the chorus. I know what I'm doing. But as well, you know, the whole mentality of it. And again, this is, you know, we were talking about you know, pointing to the next generation, and that's, I think that's why I picked that verse. I just love that, you know, whippersnapper. Back in your box, like you know, obviously you're taking the the opposite side of what you believe for
yes,
dramatic.
absolutely.
Dramatic, but yeah, that, you know, she's so young and we're so old, and whippersnapper back in your box. Like again, just the you know, just the kind of the lyrics here, like just, you know, so there's nothing particularly specific, like Taz was saying about. There's nothing kind of that's nailing anything down too far, but you just get this sense of, you know, just seething, you know, rage, and but wanting to, you know, also, you know, just empower, you know, the next generation in particular to speak up, and you know, and the other people to just back the fuck down, you know.
Yeah, it's just people just get out of the way. That one,
Which
you see these incredibly powerful young women like Greta Thunberg and Malala and Emma Gonzalez, and you just see them stand up and shout for something they believe in, and what they believe in is kind of for everyone's good. And then you just see people just start raining fire on them for
no good reason.
Well, just for
being young.
Well, and for personal gain as well.
Yeah.
It's just it's imagine being those people. Imagine seeing yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, obviously, I'm not sure that there's that much self-awareness necessarily sometimes.
No, well,
I don't want to be.
You'd hope there might be, but
yeah.
It's it's pretty. It is. See, now you mention it, a lot of it is pretty pissed off.
But what I like is that it's not. I don't know. Yeah, it is pissed off, and you know, you've kind of got that great, you know, punk rage, you know, that you know, rock music in particular is great, and punk rock, and you know, it's great because you've got this. But you know, it's tempered and it's balanced, which I like as well, you know, and you know, there's still hope in there, and there's still I mean, there's room for self-doubt as well. Like, it's not, you know, it's not like you're sitting there going, well, we've got all the answers, why aren't you talking to us? It's just like, you know, come on, it's encouraging people to be better, which, you know, equal turns, which I just, you know, I think it's fantastic. Just sort of summing up, you know, that it's interesting kind of just going through that history, and like, you know, listening to all those songs along the way, and just seeing that progression each time, and again, you've stepped up, and like, I don't know what that means for album 4 or 5, you know, 5, whatever, 5 or 6, wherever you're at.
We've peaked, man. We're just going down.
Well, you know, I mean, you could have arguably said that about Can of Worms, you know, 7 or 8 years ago. You said, well, maybe it's not, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm just, again, you know, just massive round of applause to you guys, and to Paul, and you know, and to the other people who've contributed. Of course, we haven't even mentioned Rich Clark, who has mastered this, but again, has done a great job in just sort of bringing the best out of Paul's mix. You know,
definitely,
keeping
and Jim Wheeler as well with all the artwork.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the artwork and the videos,
we are blown away by
videos.
that. It's been absolutely amazing.
We've been very blessed with the people, very talented people that are around us as well. They've basically really helped us out with this album.
It's been
for
really
sure.
bored in lockdown. It's been really bored.
But again, it's, I mean, you get what you give. You get back what you put into the world, and I think, again, that's something that I would take away from this album, and that's what's happening with, as I say, you guys aren't ego, you aren't, you're just doing your thing and you're trying to make a positive difference where you can, and I think this album deserves to be heard far and wide. So, what are the next plans? So you've obviously got the single coming out on 10th of July. I'm not exactly sure when this podcast is going to go out, but presumably similar sort of time. And then you've got the album's coming out 30th of July. What's that going to look like? The release and that side of things.
So for us, we've obviously spent a lot of time and money on making this album, and whereas in previous years, like sort of 10, 15 years ago, we would spend a lot of time touring, playing a lot of gigs and building up a bit of cash that we could then put back into making, recordings. And that's just not us anymore. We're a bit older, we've all got various commitments, and we basically put in a lot of our own money to make the album. So what we want to do is, what we're desperate to do is to be able to do something again in the next sort of year or two, I guess.
Yeah.
But we would need to sort of pay off this recording, because obviously, it is an enterprise. So what we're going to do is we're going to release all the singles on streaming platforms, as is the norm. But I mean, I guess most people who might listen to this are probably in bands and make music themselves. So, we all know that there's absolutely no money to be had in that. Not that we're after making any money whatsoever, really. It's just a case of,
It'd be nice to make even.
Minimising losses, pretty much. And so these guys left me in charge of the money. That's my aim. Minimise the losses. But I mean, that's generally it. We're in it just to have to have fun and to express ourselves, really, rather than make any money, obviously. So what we're planning to do, what we will be doing is, the album's going to be released on the crowdfunding platform Indiegogo on the 31st of July. It's going to be crowdfunding, not as so much as crowdfunding this album, but more, paying off our debts to enable us to make future albums. So what people can do is, they can go to our page on that Indiegogo platform, and they'll be able to get a downloadable copy of the album straight away, and choose various sort of perk packages. So it might be, size original GarageBand recordings with a T-shirt, with a CD,
nice.
Or they might, if you might want a vinyl copy of the album, you can buy that, or various kind of packages like that. So that's kind of our plan, really, but still allow via streaming platforms, all our singles from the album will be available on that as well. So that's basically the plan.
Grand. Did you say vinyl? That's definitely on, or is that based on?
I need to read the small print when it comes to the Indiegogo page there, but we're certainly planning on that. That would be.
I mean, that would be phenomenal.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
And
it's basically down to how much interest we get for the vinyl, isn't it? To whether we can afford to cover the cost to produce it.
I mean, just aside from anything else, it's a bit of a ball ache to play vinyl. You have to keep getting up. It's really annoying. A number of times I've sat in the living room with a friend round or whatever, and we're chatting, and I'm like, I've got to turn the vinyl over. But for that, I mean, especially the artwork, just having it large, and and Jim's cover is brilliant. The
artwork's phenomenal. That's why we thought it really is worth. I mean, I don't think we were even planning on doing a CD at the time until we saw Jim's artwork.
Yeah.
And then I think that just changed our whole tact on that one to, right, we're definitely having a physical copy of this, because it's too good to just be a picture on someone's computer. At the end of the day.
100%.
It would just be such a waste.
Great. And I mean, absolutely all the best with all of this, and I will be obviously posting about it.
Receiving your free package in the post because you're such a legend.
To be fair, you try and stop me from donating to crowdfunding. You can't. So yeah, I think this is probably a good time to wrap this up. And thank you so much for giving your time and talking and answering all of my multiple questions about all sorts of things. I mean, it's, just as a fan of the band, it's been so much fun, finding out stuff that I didn't know and just chatting to you guys. So I really appreciate your time and yeah, I hope it all goes really well, and I hope you will get another album that will top this one even.
Bless you. Thank you, Toby.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Thanks, Toby.
Just
a lot of fun.
Thanks, Toby.
Yo.
It's starting to hurt. We say, get your retaliation.